Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez sued by daughter. Demoree Hadley sues Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez for alleged false detainment under Florida mental health laws. Desiree Perez, CEO and co-founder of Roc Nation, is facing serious legal allegations from her daughter, Demoree Hadley, who has filed a lawsuit claiming Perez used unlawful methods to have her falsely detained under Florida's Baker Act and Marchman Act. The report, originally published by NBC6 South Florida, outlines accusations that Perez manipulated the system using her influence and resources. According to the lawsuit, Hadley alleges she was institutionalized in mental health facilities for 2 weeks without clear justification. She submitted medical documentation and body cam footage that allegedly shows a mobile crisis unit instructing her to enter a gray pickup truck. A doctor later evaluated Hadley, referencing family statements, including those from Perez and an aunt, that claimed she had attempted an overdose from the previous night. Hadley's lawsuit further accuses Perez of leveraging her wealth and status to interfere in her marriage to Javon Hadley, alleging that Perez fabricated domestic violence claims to separate the couple. In response, Perez had previously filed her own lawsuit against Javon, alleging he had abused Hadley for years. Both Hadley and her husband denied these claims. Hilton Napoleon II, the attorney representing Hadley, stated, "I haven't seen anything in my entire 20 years of practicing law that is so clear that someone did something wrong." He also referenced an 11-page memorandum from the Miami-Dade state attorney's office that reportedly criticized Perez's accusations as false and unsupported by evidence. Hadley was released from the last of her mental health detentions in April after Perez dismissed the case. The legal battle continues to unfold, highlighting a complex and deeply personal conflict within a high-profile family. So the words don't really paint the right picture. It just doesn't. Just on its surface, just to hear it that way, you can basically say, dang, bro, that's wild that she did that. But hey, we know people who've been beat on and all this crap before, they lie all the time. But bruh, when you see this stuff on camera, it takes your mind somewhere else. Check this out.
Legal action after she says she spent nearly 2 weeks in mental health institutions for no legitimate reason. She claims in a recently filed lawsuit that it was orchestrated by her own mother, and others who should have protected her failed her. NBC6 investigative reporter Amy Viteri has her story.
So legally, I can go home.
No, you cannot.
Why?
Because you're being Baker acted.
Body camera video shows the moments Broward deputies encouraged Demoree Hadley to get into this pickup truck with people she says she didn't know.
I can't ride with you and you guys take me?
You're going to be in handcuffs, so dog's not going to be able to come?
No, I don't want to be in handcuffs.
Okay.
Demoree says they took her to a hospital for a mental health evaluation after this doctor signed paperwork saying she was a risk to herself.
What he told me was, we received a call from your family that you tried to OD the night before.
A doctor she says she'd never met before. And according to Demoree, it's her own mother who's behind it. In this lawsuit, she claims her mother, Desiree Perez, used unlawful means to have Demoree falsely detained under Florida's Baker Act and Marchman Act.
So she's the CEO of Roc Nation, a company that she owns along with Sean Carter, the famous rapper Jay-Z.
The complaint alleges a conspiracy, saying Perez used her money, power, and influence to tear apart Demoree and her husband, Javon Hadley, and created an enterprise of individuals to effectuate her plot.
To essentially try to separate me from my husband and to falsely accuse him of domestic violence.
Perez has repeatedly denied these allegations in court filings. A month before Demoree filed her complaint, we found her mother filed her own lawsuit against Demoree's husband, Javon. Citing evidence, Perez says he has abused her daughter for years, something the couple has denied in court records. In that lawsuit, Desiree Perez says she moved to Baker Act her daughter, fearing she was at risk of suicide and abusing prescription drugs.
I haven't seen anything in my entire 20 years of practicing law that it is so clear that someone did something wrong.
Attorney Hilton Napoleon is representing Demoree in the lawsuit, which claims Perez harassed the couple for years, including making unfounded claims to get Javon arrested on multiple occasions for battery and domestic violence, charges prosecutors did not pursue.
The state attorney's office wrote a 11-page scathing closeout memoranda, which basically said that her mother made false allegations to the police.
In this closeout memo, a prosecutor with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office cites Demoree's lack of cooperation and raises concerns about some of the evidence and how it was obtained. The prosecutor also wrote Demoree was wrongfully Baker Acted last year, something her mother's attorney disputes in this letter, challenging many of the memo's other conclusions.
I have 3 different collateral sources of information that say that she's been acting psychotic, that she threatened to overdose yesterday.
Demoree's lawsuit alleges her mother conspired with prominent psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Bober, seen here in body camera video, and others to have Demoree committed for a mental health evaluation. Bober cites supporting evidence from her family and diagnosed Demoree with an unspecified psychosis. He ordered she be taken to Memorial Regional Hospital, where he is chief of psychiatry, and where results from drug tests taken upon admission were negative, according to records Demoree shared with us.
They told me your tox screens came out negative, and I go, I know. I don't do drugs.
In a statement, Dr. Bober's attorney said Demoree was placed under the Baker Act for 38 hours due to the potential risk of imminent harm she posed to herself, adding failing to take appropriate action would have been a breach of Dr. Bober's ethical and professional obligations. While Demoree was at Memorial, her mother further petitioned to have her transported to a different facility under Florida's Marchman Act, claiming again in court records that Demoree suffered from severe drug abuse. A judge granted that petition.
They ran the test. They knew that she had no drugs in her system and she was not abusing drugs. And the fact that you can't do anything about it is scary.
Demoree was sent to this treatment center in Deerfield Beach, where Dr. Bober serves as medical director.
Where are the people that are supposed to protect me from this happening?
According to her lawsuit, Demoree requested a hair follicle test at that facility called Life Skills, which detects drug use for at least the past 3 months, and which showed no drugs had been in Demoree. Demoree was held at Life Skills until April 8th. She shared discharge paperwork that lists a diagnosis of persistent depressive disorder, which she disputes. No medication was prescribed. Court records show Demoree was able to leave that day after her mother voluntarily dismissed the case. But Demoree says the damage has been done, and she feels a system designed to keep people safe failed to protect her.
Money, influence, and power should not be something that's used, right, or abused to hurt innocent people.
Perez has filed a motion to dismiss Demoree's complaint, asserting that the Baker Act and other legal proceedings she has undertaken were rooted in legitimate concern for her daughter's safety.
The Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office tells us they stand by their memo. Memorial Healthcare says they can't speak about Demoree's case because of the pending lawsuit. We also contacted Life Skills South Florida and have not yet heard back. BSO told us the incident involving Demoree is now internally under review. Amy Viteri, NBC6 News.
Timing is everything. Coincidence that it happened the same time that Tory Lanez and all these people are trying to allege these things about Roc Nation? Yeah. It is crazy. But I want to compare and contrast, right? Because there are going to be individuals who are going to say, see, Roc Nation, they bought the police and the attorneys. Well, if that's the case, then the district attorney's office wouldn't have wrote what they call a scathing 11-page memorandum, meaning saying exactly how these people lied. So respectfully to those who are going to sit here and go, Roc Nation, they are bad. I hear you. The problem with it is this case compared to the Tory case ain't the same. What it is the Baker Act. That's the thing. When you know the law, you can use the law. Let's take a look at exactly what the Baker Act is and why it was created before we go further, because we need to understand that in order to write history. Sounds good? Check it out. The Baker Act, officially the Florida Mental Health Act of 1971, is the Florida law that allows for the temporary and voluntary commitment of individuals for mental health examination and treatment. It is designed to provide emergency services and temporary detention for individuals exhibiting signs of mental illness who may be a danger to themselves or others. The act is named after the Florida representative, Maxine Baker. Here's a more detailed look at the Baker Act. Purpose. The Baker Act aims to provide crisis intervention services for individuals experiencing mental health crisis. It's similar to an emergency department for mental health, allowing for immediate evaluation and stabilization. Who can initiate the Baker Act? The Baker Act can be initiated by law enforcement officers, judges, or mental health professionals. Criteria for Baker Act involuntary examination. An individual can be placed under the Baker Act if there is reason to believe, just as there is a reason, got it? To believe they have a mental illness. They have refused or are unable to determine if an examination is necessary. Without care or treatment, they are likely to suffer neglect or be a danger to themselves or others. Duration of holding, the maximum period of involuntary examination is 72 hours. Voluntary versus involuntary. Individuals can choose to enter a receiving facility voluntarily or be admitted involuntarily under the Baker Act. Post-examination. After the 72-hour period, the individual can be released, placed on a voluntary or involuntary treatment plan, or face further legal proceedings. Long-term commitment. While the Baker Act provides for temporary detention, it does not guarantee long-term placement. If further treatment is deemed necessary, a court can order a longer-term involuntary placement. Cost. The cost of the Baker Act evaluation is $300 per day. That's not bad. But they also said the Marchman Act. So let's get a look at that one too. The Marchman Act, formerly known as the Hal S. Marchman Alcohol and Other Drug Services Act of 1993, is a Florida law that allows for involuntary and voluntary assessment, stabilization, and treatment of individuals struggling with substance abuse. It provides a means for individuals to receive emergency services and temporary placement for evaluation while treatment options are explored. Key aspects of the Marchman Act. Purpose. To address substance abuse issues and provide services for individuals who may be unable to make rational decisions about their own care due to substance abuse. Involuntary versus voluntary. The Act allows for both voluntary and involuntary commitment for assessment and treatment. Who can file a petition? A petition for involuntary assessment can be filed by various individuals, including, check this out, relatives, adults with personal knowledge of a person's impairment, directors of licensed service providers, spouses, legal guardians, or private practitioners. Criteria for involuntary admission. The court must find that the individual has lost the power of self-control due to substance abuse, is incapable of making rational decisions about substance abuse services, and has inflicted, attempted, or threatened to inflict physical harm on themselves or others. Process. A petition is filed with the court, and a hearing is held to determine if the criteria for involuntary assessment are met. Court orders. If the court finds that the criteria are met, it can order involuntary assessment and stabilization and potentially involuntary treatment. Consequences for noncompliance. Failure to comply with court-ordered treatment can result in legal consequences, including contempt of court. Ex parte orders. In emergency situations, the court may issue an ex parte order for involuntary assessment and stabilization without a hearing. These things are important because there's going to be a lot of people that spend this a certain type of way, and I just can't do it because it's not right. Assessment and stabilization. The individual is assessed to determine the need for further treatment, and stabilization measures are taken to ensure their safety and well-being. Treatment. If the assessment determines that treatment is needed, the court can order the individual to attend and complete treatment, which can be inpatient or outpatient. Duration of involuntary treatment. Involuntary treatment orders can be for a period not exceeded 90 days. In essence, the Marchman Act provides a legal framework for addressing substance abuse issues in Florida, allowing for both voluntary and involuntary intervention when necessary to ensure individuals receive the help they need. Now, if your conspiracy hat is on, I get it, 100%. I understand. But this right here, if she did this with malice intent, this is just some manipulative, evil crap right here. And I'm going to tell you why. If you know the laws of the state that you're in as far as mental health and all this crap goes, you understand that you can make a serious allegation amongst people of your peers and literally have them turn around and agree with you and say, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. The worst thing that happened is that the aunt is one of the ones who played a major role in this because they're going off of multiple sources. That's it. So there's going to be individuals who drag Jay-Z into this and talk about courts and all this stuff, but that same court just drug her through the freaking mud. So I do want y'all to, if y'all can, if some of y'all can, be fair in the situation and understand this is an isolated incident between a mother and her daughter and a mother who simply abused the laws that she knew of, if this is all true. Just gonna be fair. I don't see the whole Roc Nation conspiracy. I don't see Jay-Z and none of this crap or anything because it doesn't make sense. She's suing Desiree Perez, not the whole entire thing like how people are going to take this. So what you should take away from this video is simply this. Desiree Perez allegedly just did some of the most heinous BS that you could do to your daughter. And it seems like your daughter got her head on her shoulders. Now, the hair follicle testing and stuff like that, I can be fair. You can put some strip in your hair that will get rid of that. But I would caution you guys to say that that's the case here because she was already in the facility, which means she couldn't have did it unless she had warning before that she was going to be arrested. To those of you who are going to say, well, the doctor, he sat up there and lawyered up and all this crap, and that's why he can't talk. True indeed. But I want you to try to play the role of the doctor if you can. The doctor is told by a concerned mother and a concerned family member variations of the same exact story. That's just what it is. You will have these doctors always, and that's why they get sued for malpractice, diagnose you with the wrong stuff every single time. So if y'all take this video and you say, you know what, Sadie Nash, you Roc Nation and all this stuff, bro, that's why you spinning it that way. I would never reference that the courts that y'all claim are paid off by Roc Nation just turn around and said to Desiree Perez, you're wrong. In 11 pages, they said you're flat out wrong for this crap. But hey, who knows, man? We'll see how it goes. If she loses this lawsuit, congrats to her. But if it turns out that she's right, how many people will apologize? Just gonna put it out there. Also, I'm using the words allegedly and all this crap because we don't know what we don't know. But share to keep your people aware. Subscribe, turn on bell, stay notified. We gonna do something a little different here, and I think you guys are gonna like it because we'll all get to a conclusion of our own, and we'll all be, I don't know. It might divide a lot of people, but I'll catch you on the next one.